Oh, it's a lovely little town. Always very quiet.
It's always wet, it's always quite quiet.
Everybody, or the majority of people, know everybody else.
Bizarre-looking people walk around, I suppose.
Everybody knows it's going to be a bit chaotic in Fair Week.
We come here every year for a gypsy gathering.
I think they're a pack of chavs.
Get off the road, thank you.
Gypsies from all over the globe come to Appleby Fair.
The town is taken over.
When we have the fair here, you can have 50,000 in any one day.
This is the biggest planned event in the force calendar.
You see all the strange travellers that you didn't see in years.
It's just getting abused, really, isn't it?
Hell yeah, pretty much.
We never come into the town on a night because it can get a bit rough.
And if you accidentally bump into one of them, you're just as likely to get beaten up.
And you know something else? I'll fight you for a fiver and I'll kill you for a tenner.
Smells like a public urinal.
A lot of young people buy into the fact that they haven't got an ethnicity or a culture, that they're just a lifestyle choice. I think to go back right to the roots of Appleby Fair would be a brilliant way of them to find that out. I think it'd also be interesting for them to find out just why Appleby's still here, why after all these years they allow all these gypsies and travellers to use this field and this fair in the way they do. I mean, obviously quite a few people would love to see it shut down, but there's some history there and there's some relevance there that people hold on to, that they see it for the value of it that it is.
We are a group of gypsies and Irish travellers. The people from Noise Festival taught us how to work with cameras and prepare questions like a real reporter. This is our film about the history and future of Appleby Horse Fair.
To find out more about the horse fair, we went to see some local people, shopkeepers and Sergeant Grant. It was a laugh messing about with his handcuffs. But they get used a lot.
Not in Appleby, the town.
What do you think about Appleby Horse Fair?
I think it's a great event. I think that it brings a lot of colour to the town. I think that overall, for the number of people that we get here, and I'm talking about gypsies and travellers and visitors who come to see what's going on as well, we don't have that much trouble.
It's not as big as fair as Appleby Fair, is there?
There is no fair as big as Appleby in this country
Funny though,
or in Europe. It's become a real, obviously probably one of the major cultural events for gypsies and travellers over the past 200 or 300 years, and you know, probably people have been coming here since the 1680s.
We also filmed our grannies, mums and dads to find out how they used to travel to Appleby. Why does everyone go back there every year?
It's almost like a place where you come to reaffirm your identity, to be amongst other gypsies.
Well, it's history for us as Appleby. We all loved it. Yeah. My brothers and my mum and dad went as long as ever they could go.
But really it's just like an holiday thing to us this year. We don't live in it all the time, it's just when we go to Appleby. Like my mum and dad were brought up in one, my granny and granddad have been brought up in them, and so it's just something that keeps going through the generations.
People seem a lot nicer to you when you see you in a wagon.
We show them exactly what we are and what we do and where we come from. So it's something to be proud of, really.
So when I was a little lad, if there was, say there was 1,000 horses on Appleby, 950 would be for sale. Now, if there was 4,000, there may be 1,000 for sale.
The washing the horses in the river is still a big thing that attracts all young men down there showing off the muscles.
Just giving him a wash because it's warm, letting him cool down at river.
Exercise?
When you see him going, he dribble 35 miles, not him. It's what you want, speed. Yeah. He's fast, for sale.
Appleby and horse trade go together like that. Have you seen this stallion? Have you seen it? Yeah. It's over there. It's the biggest, blackest, whitest thing you've ever seen in your life. Come on, take 5 grand for it, on the floor.
You just asked me 4,900 quid for it.
Yeah, but the prices go up, that's how quick. When you buy it, it'll go up as much as well. I'll take 4,500 quid. I'll tell you what it is, as daft as it sounds, and you may call me a liar, McDonald's bid me £3,500 for it. more of a tradition, if you will, isn't it?
That's the word, tradition.
It's more of a tradition. We meet here, I bring my stock, he brings his stock, we swap stock. He's from the south country, I'm from the north. We trade stock, I take my stock back up the north, he takes my stock back down to the south, and that way we make our living, I suppose.
And that's how it goes.
Horses in general, they're a sort of a cult thing for traveller people. They've been with them for generations, and they probably know more about horses than anybody else in the country, really.
Walter is not a gypsy. He first come to Appleby as a horse trader. He is over 80 now, but he still lives like a traveller in a gypsy bow-top wagon that he made himself.
Probably Appleby is one of the very early fairs, close to midsummer, just when there's a lot of grass, and it means that you can drive anywhere in the north of England with horses and find good grazing for them at the side of the road. And as well as that, it's the time when you want to get your mares covered with the stallions for breeding.
Modern travellers don't need horses to work and pull their wagons, but most still keep them and bring them to the fairs like Appleby to show them off and to sell them.
Do you get any problems about the horses and people just riding them up and down the roads?
There are complaints about horses being ridden up and down the roads. That's why we work with people like the RSPCA. They are responsible really for the animal welfare, and they have a little team of inspectors, about 12 of those who come here, and they would look after the animal welfare side of it and speak to people who are perhaps running the horses a bit too hard and stuff like that, and ask them to stop.
Horses are still important to gypsies and travellers. From a young age, boys even know other people's horses by name.
Why have you come to Appleby?
Look at the horses.
Look at all the horses. What's your favourite horse?
George's Girl.
George's Girl. Why is that your favourite?
It's fast.
The kind of horses that I like the best is the black and white horses, because I think they're like the nicest ones.
Have you bought any yet?
Yep.
Yeah, we have. We bought a black and white one, red and white one, black one, grey one, whatever colour you want.
I bought 10. I think they're nice. I don't think that I'm terrified of them in case they'll kick me. I've only ever been on like maybe one, because most traveller lasses there don't go on horses. It's most like for the lads and the men and things like that.
Did you buy anything else apart from horses?
I did. I bought a red head.
The men still come for the horse race, and that's what they come for. They come to trot their horses up and down and sell their horses. For the women, it's about buying clothes, shoes for your children, and pots and pans and rugs, mainly for your home.
Glasses.
15 for you, son. Come on, best stall on the market here today. Guaranteed best deal.
Oh, I found better.
These are 45, they're 45.
When did you come? I come yesterday, pulled on yesterday afternoon. We come down onto the stalls and see if there's out new we can buy. Yeah. And it's a real, and when it's weather's nice like this, it's a pleasure to come.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I wouldn't miss it. I come every year.
Yeah, sure as well.
Oh, Jesus!
She was looking at then.
You keep treating it like me. I'm telling you.
This has been going on for years. Our granny and granddad used to come, and it's just like a tradition what all the travellers do.
She's a proper old gypsy woman. She's been selling a few old jams.
Can I buy one? We're selling these at first for 150, but to you 110.
They're gorgeous. They keep you company.
Nice pups, aren't they?
Selling water for crystal and silver. It's from Ireland and it's especially for crystal it is.
Most gypsies and travellers now live in houses, like my granny and granddad,
but keep their traditions alive, like the collection of Crown Derby pots, which is passed on from mothers to daughters on their wedding day.
I am collecting Border Fine Arts. These are started off with Gordon Boswell. He gave them the idea of the gypsy's way of life, the traveller's way of life, and this is Gordon Boswell's designs that he did for the Border Fine Art. This actual one down here is coming back from Appleby, and it shows you the living wagons and our way of life, how we used to be, and how it still is today.
There's a certain link there between what the road's like and what the room are like as well. There seems to be a lot of finery up there. There's a link between the two, the Royal Crown Derby, the Royal Worcester, anything with the Royal pattern, the Royal, Grosvenor, Wilton carpet. They're good things.
You don't have any with purple in here?
No.
Gold has always been very much a part of the gypsy culture. For people who don't have bank accounts, traditionally haven't had bank accounts or credit cards, because you're travelling, you don't read and write, so you've got to keep your money somehow. So gold was always something which people used. It's where your wealth is invested. Although it may look like someone's showing off a lot of gold, but maybe that's their entire fortune hanging on them. If a gypsy boy or a gypsy girl goes out with all their gold on, they're actually saying something also about their status, about their financial status, because gold is currency.
Any more bits? Right, I'll come around, boys. I'll cover any bits.
A fair is about entertainment, but it's also about trade and business. And it's also about rituals, and it's about sporting activities and things. Racing, There used to be boxing booths at fairs. We haven't had one at Appleby for a long time. There is the occasional fight that somebody will arrange, usually out of sight where it doesn't get in the way of anybody else.
Yes, boxing is a great tradition. I have recently been boxing. Yes, 7 eggs. I put in one box in one night. I always win my boxing matches. 37 boxes, 37 wins.
All my family goes to Appleby every year. When I am older, I will still go.
What do you think about the travellers?
One of the things that I've noticed about the Gypsy and Traveller community is the big value about family. When I go around and we speak to people, that is one of the big things that always comes across.
Within the community, there are all sorts of different levels and groupings and families. The proper Romany people who came into Europe sort of 500 or 600 years ago, they don't take in people from outside very easily. They can be very friendly, very helpful, but it would be very difficult to actually sort of join into one of their families.
Travellers don't really mix with other people, they usually stay with their own people. They're not allowed to leave the Gypsy and Traveller community.
If there's a basic sort of element of Gypsy or Traveller culture, it's the family, it's the extended family. It could be called a tribal culture, but in the best sense of the word when I say tribal. So what you've got is large extended families, because when people are on the move, you have the whole families on the move. You've got the very old people, the grandparents, the great-grandparents, supplying the wisdom of age. You've got the able-bodied parents and the younger people who do the physical work. And while they're out working, of course, the older people will be looking after the babies or the toddlers. So the family unit is a dependent unit, and I suppose that's the basic structure.
Dad was the boss. Wherever he wanted to go, we followed on. There's no ifs nor buts. Wherever Dad said, that was it. And that's how it was in olden days. The man was the boss.
My granddad, Tom Cannon, his mum was a steward out of Scotland, Stewart Traveller. He settled down in Cumberland, my granddad Tom's people did. My granny, she was a Nicholson. And there's generations and generations of the Nicholsons, goes right back to Gypsy people Nicholsons. On my mum's side, there was Veras and Mannions, and they go back for generations. The Mannions originate out of Scotland. Maybe that's where I get the mixed accent, I don't know. And my granddad, Joe Vera, some of them went to America and come back out of America. But they go back for generations, they do.
Next we went to a Gypsy archive at Liverpool University to find out more about our families.
Hello, welcome to Liverpool. I'm
Hello.
Katie. Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. Right, I'm in charge of the collection that we've taken all these photographs from, and these are some of the Griffiths family here. And here they are playing at his funeral. These fiddles have actually been made out of chocolate boxes, been out of wooden boxes.
There's a red and wagon what I think my granddad might have on a photo what his sister might have been born in, so if it's that one I'll have to go home and check first of all. Is that one still like gone, do you know?
It may be. It's a very, very ornately decorated one. And those wagons, I think, would be passed on if they had not been part of a traditional funeral. There was a tradition of the living wagon being burned after the funeral and the possessions going with it, which is one of the reasons why we think this archive is so important, because a lot of this sort of material might not survive in the hands of families themselves.
There's a custom that many stick to now, that if the old fellow dies, his wagon is burnt, and a lot of his other possessions. They don't hand them on to the next generation. The next generation have got to make their own way, starting with nothing, you know. And they don't all adhere to that now, because now some of them have so much property. I mean, they've got land, farms, some of them, and a wagon can very often cost 50 or 60,000 pounds to buy, and they think twice about burning that, you know. But even so, there's still this tradition of make their own living, and very, very few will be on any sort of government benefits.
How long ago was them photos?
It goes right back to the 18th century, that one.
Would I be able to have a copy of that?
Yes, of course, we'll sort that out before you go. I think you can see some family resemblances still between the people in the Boswell family. Do you think you look like any of them?
Yeah. You can't see them.
I think they're a very, very good-looking family.
At the archive we looked at all these pictures, and then we looked at the books and we found out information like about all our families.
No, you haven't got there.
No, we did have somebody writing in recently asking about Vera, so there's a little bit of information to be buried somewhere in here, I expect.
It's been good, I liked it, and I found out something about an uncle that I've never heard of him, but it was from ages ago.
Irish travellers arrived in this country over 900 years ago, Romany gypsies over 500 years ago. We are descendants of an Indian army, which still shows in our language.
A lot of UK gypsies lived on fixed local authority sites like this one in Shipley. We all keep animals like horses, chickens and dogs, but Roseanne keeps ferrets.
I just think they're beautiful animals. Ferrets eat rabbits, they eat cat food, and they eat lots of fish and meat and rats. If that was to get off my finger, it wouldn't let go. My dad had to learn me that you have to squeeze in their cheeks to have them let go of your finger, because otherwise it'd eat you for land off.
Roseanne is lucky all her family are together on this site.
This is the living room, it's the kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, and my bedroom. My DVDs, and is my telly, which I love more than anything. In Appleby, the most important thing for me is seeing my friends who I haven't seen for nearly a year. Because most friends I see in Appleby, I don't see any other time.
For the young people, it's just a chance to get there and meet. I mean, the days of sitting around the campfire in the woods are completely gone, they're completely dead. Now you either live on a site, in a house, or by yourself somewhere, so you don't get that chance to socialise with your friends and family.
And usually goes to the pub.
Get drunk.
It's a lot harder to get a quiet drink, so definitely a lot harder.
This is the man from the mic from the bus, indeed.
Young gypsies and travellers have their own styles. Going out and dressing up is very important in Appleby. It's not just a horse fair. Many find their future husbands or wives out there.
think any of the travelling girls is good looking then?
You do get a few, yeah. Some of them are quite good for sore eyes, but most of them you wouldn't touch with a barge pole.
Hello. You try to make the other girls jealous. That's the reason.
What, they're in a competition with each other to look the best or something? Yeah, I'd back that one up.
Half of them find their husbands in Appleby Fair.
They do?
Yeah, that's where most of them meet up, like.
Hi!
Do you think many young girls and boys in those days met one another on Appleby?
Oh, they did, and they got married off Appleby. Men, you didn't attract men. Men came to you. You never attracted a man. That was the lowest of the lowest that put itself forward. You'd let a man come to you. A man had to come and ask you a few times. You wouldn't go out on your first date. You wouldn't be showing anything like this.
The good thing about Appleby was that you could always meet up with your friends and that, you know what I mean? But the best thing about it was I met my husband there.
Proper gypsy girl will get the flashiest wedding frock money can buy. Nico Design in Liverpool caters for the very demanding gypsy girls.
Where do you think gypsy girls get their like design for their wedding dress?
Well, a lot of them used to bring videotapes in, like Disney, Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, you know, when they get married, even American Tail. And we had to look at it, and some wedding dress was only on for a second or two, and we'd have to like look at it all the time till we got the design. Each girl has got their own idea how big they want the dresses. You know, they're not interested in walking or how they're going to get into the coach or anything like that, cars or whatever. They just want the bigger the better, and they always want bigger than the last girl.
My sister had won a frock from Nico Design, and it was pink velvet with white satin, and it had loads of hoops underneath it and underskirts, and it was like a Gone with the Wind frock.
This design, what we've designed now, is very unusual, and loads and loads of Swarovski crystal on it. No one's seen this one yet. When it's finished, it won't be in the shop for half an hour. It'll be gone, because they love diamonds, absolutely love it. And the more diamonds on the top and the skirt, the more they love.
Back in Appleby, at the end of the day, the pub takes over from the horse trading for the men.
How did you find entertainment? What did you use to
Well,
do?
we'd either step dance, then I could step dance, and there was some good step dancers, and singers.
To apologise to her would be so simple.
Now, Larry Howard, he was a very good singer. He was one of my favourites.
Yeah.
If I knew he was further up the fair,
On
I would go up to him.
Yeah.
Say from 8 o'clock at night on till midnight, we'd be listening, because they'd come back from the pubs and they'd all be singing then. And the melodeon's going.
Yeah.
Nearly everybody could play melodeon or an accordion.
To foolish pride.
The Romany culture is an oral culture. Historically, it has had no use for reading and writing. You have a culture that's handed down by word of mouth over the centuries, over the generations. At the end of a day's work, at the end of a day's travelling, the family would gather around the fire.
On down the steps a little slower, and their has turned to grey. But the couple in that photograph are still in love today.
And it's around that fire in the evening that the old stories will be told, the songs will be sung. It's when the old people will talk to the children and the youngsters about The things they should know is when the Romany language was spoken.
I can't read and write. I'm just learning now, slowly. And when you go in a restaurant or a cafe and they say, there on the board, what's for your dinner, and you can't read it, they look at me like I'm completely thick. So I didn't want that for my own children.
Even though things are changing, so there's one part of me that doesn't want to change. And there's one part of me that I don't want my children to change, and I'd love them to keep on with that, the way of life we've been brought up.
My dad's living wagon, he's pulled this up here with Awesome Wagon from Bradford. He came up with his grandson and his granddaughter, and he just wanted to show them what life was like when he was young, that how he got to Appleby and what he experienced along the way, and how different people treat you from when you're in a caravan and a car or a pickup to what you're like when you're in a living wagon and a horse.
You put that on first, then you put the bridle on.
That is the bridle.
Then you put the saddle on. That's the rein. I'm on the way to Appleby Fair. I'm on the way to Appleby Fair. How did you keep warm?
We had a stove there, and the stove used to cook on it. So it was used for two purposes. It was used to keep them warm and to fry, and there were two like plates. One was for boiling kettle and one was for frying.
What was it like to live in one of these wagons?
Travelling kids used to be very healthy kids, and they used to be in and out playing. But we never went hungry, we never went cold. There were 3 girls and 5 boys. The 3 girls, the bed pulled out there onto here, so the 3 girls got in here. Mum and Dad always slept on there. Maybe the baby would sleep up there with them. We had a little boy, so he'd maybe sleep up there. And then all the big lads used to sleep outside in accommodation.
What was accommodation?
Well, accommodation was like the wagon we've been in, like a wagon top. But it never had no stoves or nothing like that, and it just had a piece of wood with a cover over. So, if anybody had a big family, you see, they could lift the accommodation off the side of the wagon, and the lads could sleep in that. And then through a day, the men could go out and get the living on the rig.
That is just a solid block of wood, and every piece of that, them birds, them grapes, them scroll, is carved out by hand. That is proper 9-carat gold. It's gilt, it's on a book. You buy it by the book and you just put it on.
Now this handle here, that's for the brakes. And when I'm driving, I sit up on this seat here, and I can just work the brakes with my foot if I need to, so that just a little bit of a hill I can take the weight off the harness for the horse and doesn't feel it as much. This particular pattern of wagon is a bow top. You see, it's got this curved top and covered in canvas. Some of the wagons have straight sides and all wood and so on. Most of the wood is Piranha pine, which is very light, very straight-grained wood, very easy to work, very nice stuff. And it's very important to keep it light, especially with my small ponies.
Nanny, can you tell me what Appleby was like for when you was a little girl? How did you used to get up there?
Well, we used to travel with our horses and wagons.
Yeah, and did it used to take you longer?
Yes, well, you see, we used to work our way up. We used to hawk the villages, sell our goods.
Yeah.
Pegs and flowers, lace, whatever we had. Drapery, pots, whatever we got, we sold for a living. And we lived mostly off the land. Our dogs would catch rabbits and hares for us, and we'd have a rare old time.
Where did you used to stop when you got up there?
Well, when we went from this side, from Skipton side, we used to go to Gargrave.
Yeah.
With horses, you see. You couldn't travel a long way in a day. And then we would go on over to Ellyfield, Settle, we'd stop there, Ingleton, and then we would go on to Devil's Bridge, as we call it, Kirby Lonsdale, and then we'd go over to where my sister was born.
Yeah.
Brackens.
The Brackens,
The
yeah.
Brackens,
Yeah.
over the fell top, and over to Kirby Lonsdale, and then we'd go over to Kirby Steven, and then into Appleby, Warkup. That was our route.
All my life I've went to Appleby, and we used to go this way to Appleby with the living wagon and horses, because my dad was a horse dealer, and that's our way of life. I lived in a caravan like this even just before I got married.
There was very few motor vehicles, so at night time we could dance on the road. They put boards out for them that could step dance, to dance. For the ones that were good singers, would march up and down and join the gangs. It was lovely. Everybody was friends.
Was this before the war?
Oh yes, oh yes. And the war did change it a lot. My dad went to France.
And you've got a photo of your dad?
A picture of him here, in his uniform. That was my dad. And this is a photo of my mum with her own horse. She bought this herself, this horse, and they called him Tulip. My dad was a horse dealer, and he would sell all his horses. And my dad would never sell it because it was mum's.
In your day, Nanny, did the women used to ride horses and go in the river with the horses, or was it just for the men?
I was an exceptional good rider myself.
Yeah.
Now, I had sisters that couldn't, but I was the younger end, and Dad gave in, because it wasn't nice for a woman to ride striggle-legged, as you called it then, bareback on a horse.
Oh, it's a lovely memory of my childhood, of growing up and going up to Appleby, camping up and down and free. Because with houses you get a lot of bills and you get, it's a lot of caged in houses, even though I thank God for my house where I've got today. This is the way of life for the gypsy.
This is me and my sister Bend at dawn. I don't mind if I live in a trailer or in a house. Like in a big house you can have rows and argue and you can just walk into another room, but in a trailer you can't. You have to sit at one end of the bunk and the other has to sit at the other end. So when we have an argument you need to say sorry quick and then it'll be solved. My granddad buys and sells trailers from Gorger people. I help clean them. We call non-gypsies and travellers Gorgers because the way they live is like they take their trailer away for the summer and that'd be their bedroom, where ours is our home, and they don't bother cleaning it. They leave spiders come in and all that. This is the shower cupboard, and like Gorgers would use it for the toilet and to go to the toilet in, but travellers don't. They just put all the quilts in there and all the pillows and all the stuff.
We don't have toilets in it. We don't think it's hygienic to have a toilet where we eat and cook.
I don't like it because if somebody was having dinner and somebody was in the toilet and it stinks.
We have the cabinets for our chinaware and clothes. I have a double bed, a place for televisions and that, this modern day stuff, and to display our finery.
Well, these is like we call a touring caravan. The gypsy caravan used to be the Roma. Years since it used to be the Vickers, the Morecambe caravan, the Westmorland Star. Then they started making the Jubilee. They stopped making them. Then they started making a Buccaneer caravan for gypsy people.
Children who've been raised up in a house, they've been raised up to know their house. And I've been raised up in a trailer and I've known to be raised up in a trailer. But I don't see anything different about it because I've done nothing but live here. But different people would have different opinions on the way we live.
We live in the bungalow, Brownwood Terrace. There's a bungalow there. In there lives me granny and granddad, me and my brother. But there's the trailer there. My mum and dad lives in there. Round the back we've got, like, how many horses have you got? He's got 5 horses round the back, but he's got more horses at Selby. At 6 o'clock in the morning, my granddad gets up, feeds horses and feeds 12 dogs.
Come on, Gypsy. Oh, Gypsy. She's just been took off her mother. She's been in the field with her mother. She's 11-month-old her. From here, you shouldn't see her feet. All you should see there is hair. When she gets about 2-year-old, you won't be able to see her feet. All you'll see is white hair down here, about that length, you know, from the backs of her legs. And that is what the gypsies love.
People like to breed the best horses. That's very much a status symbol, as well, of course, as an income. I mean, your horse is worth a lot of money.
It's a part of the gypsies' culture. All gypsies, really, is always said, and they love black and white horses and brown and white. It's just a gypsy colour. This one here, well, I've had the breeding of her now for 30 years. We've got a grandmother, and she's 30-year-old. So we've had these, but she's an half-bred trotter, this one here. You know the old gypsy bow-top wagons? She was bred to pull one of them.
You want an experienced horse in the shafts. I usually have 2 horses pulling here because we've got some nasty hills to go up.
And I was raid with them. From being 6-year-old, I went gathering rags and scrap on a pony and cart with my dad. Then when I was 12, I got my own pony and cart gift to me, and I got sent out on my own gathering scrap and rags. That is what old travelling gypsy men used to go out and get their livings with. I used to go and loading it up every day, go to the, what they used to call a rag shop in them days, because you could sell rags at a yard and you could sell your scrap at a yard, and they used to buy it off you.
If you had to do that now, would you go out and get all this stuff?
I'd like to learn my grandson to go and do that with a horse and cart.
In those days, the men went horse dealing. It was a horse fair. But now, there's like a big market. It's completely different.
And was it like that in... Was there
No, there was never no stalls. Ice cream. There was the ice cream cart.
It's all fancy now. It's who's got the best dress, who's got the best shoes, who's got the... Years since you went to Appleby to enjoy yourself and for a break with your family and for your dads to do the living.
What did you like about Appleby?
I used to get all my new clothes for Appleby, the plastic sandals.
What's it like when you didn't get to play in that?
Well, when we was young, we got to play, because when we come on here, we go from one end to other because we knowed everybody, and everybody watched out for everybody else's children. It's not like that now these days, because there's that many people we don't know hardly anyone.
If you wanted to find one of your friends or your family, you knowed whereabouts exactly their horse-drawn wagon was. It was all horse-drawn wagons when I was a lad down there.
Somebody used to come with just a wagon or maybe a cart and 2 or 3 horses. Now he'll come with a big 4-wheel drive pulling a very big trailer and perhaps a big horse box, and they pull the horse box in near the trailer, and then they open up the sides and it turns out to be a stable, and then they put some fencing around to make a sort of corral so that their bit of space is safe from people coming in and getting kicked by horses, and so that every family takes up far more room than they used to, so the whole thing has expanded.
Appleby Fair has changed a lot since our mums and dads were young. We went to the local coffee shop to find out what the locals think about that. Do they want the fair to stop?
Was it like for you, Appleby Fair, when you was growing up?
When I was little, it was different to what it is now today. There wasn't as many people, and we knew that gypsies, can I call them gypsies?
Yeah, of course.
We knew the gypsies almost like friends.
Do you see a big difference in the younger generation now?
We could come down into the town and mix with the gypsies. Yeah. Now, I don't think the children would be allowed to do that.
What is it you like about Appleby Fair?
Not a hell of a lot, to be honest.
There's been a lot of complaints about the fair.
Well, I think it's just because there's a lot more people in a town which isn't used to having that many people in it, really.
So you made any complaints then?
Me?
No.
No. Not really, no, but...
Could be on better terms with the law,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The town has a population of about 2,500. And when we have the fair here, you can have 50,000 in any one day.
In Appleby, I think they'd prefer it if we wasn't there, because most of the shops close.
You do see some of the shops board up their windows.
And
it's very busy in the ice concern shop. We do very well in Fair Week.
Do you think Appleby is as chaotic as people mention it to be?
Normally, Appleby is a very clean, tidy town. So it's you see the contrast when you come to the fair.
What do you think about Appleby Horse Fair?
I don't think it's particularly traditional anymore. And I think the mess that they leave behind is really unacceptable.
In all, it's just more or less, it smells like a public urinal.
Do you think Appleby Fair should remain open, or do you think it should close?
Oh no, I don't think it stopped. I hate to see all these traditions go. It's most colourful, and the horses are beautiful, of course.
People come from all over the country to see the Appleby Fair.
It's a
and
little
the
bit
people who take
dangerous.
part come.
The town is taken over. The people may be different elements, like the old folk cannot walk the towns type of thing because the fear of crime.
They spill out all over the pavement, you're walking down, they make no effort to get out the way, you have to walk out into traffic, and if you accidentally bump into one of them, you're just as likely to get beaten up.
It's just getting abuse, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, pretty much.
There's a bit of vandalism, etc. But I'm not sure that it's actually the travellers that do this vandalism, because I think we get a load of visitors, and I think they could be as guilty as anything else.
How many convictions has been made this year at Appleby Fair?
Over the past 4 or 5 years, we've averaged about 20 to 25 arrests per year, and that hasn't gone up or down. It's just been fairly constant. You know, for the number of people who come, like 60, 70,000 on a Saturday and a Sunday, it would probably be in Appleby. We have less trouble here than we would in an average Saturday night in our largest town like Carlisle.
Some of the neighbours around Appleby move because of the fair.
We've actually canvassed people in the town. We've gone around with a bit of a questionnaire, and one of the things that people have written is that they would rather go on holiday than be in Appleby during the fair.
The people pro Appleby Fair are people who have lived here for years and years and years. I find that the people who are against the Appleby Fair are people who have just more or less moved in or been here 4 or 5 years.
I'm Terry Harrop. I am an hotelier. I still keep horses as a passion of mine, as most Rumney people. Split opinion regarding the fair, yeah, and I can understand where anyone that doesn't run a business that lives here would be against it. From a business point of view and from the actual tourism aspect of it, then the horse fair has and does deserve the credit for bringing recognition to the town of Appleby.
What financially does Appleby Fair do for you?
I suppose the fair helps to maybe pay the rent for the year.
It brings millions and millions of pounds into the town and the surrounding countryside. You can't find a bed and breakfast within 50 miles at Appleby Fair time.
When this was at Appleby, do you think the shopkeepers really like you, or do you think they're only acting to like you to get the custom?
Some might complain about the gypsy people, but I think some people will do well out of them as well.
Travellers, that is what has made Appleby Fair. Because a few years since the foot and mouth was on the go, and there wasn't allowed at Appleby. It's the only time it had never ever been on was a few years since the foot and mouth was on the go. And I think 3 public houses went out of business that year.
Somewhere in the royal charter of the fair, it states that if there's ever never one horse attends the fair or animal, then the royal charter could be withdrawn, if you like. Luckily, a local guy about half a mile up the road had a donkey, and so we used the donkey and we walked him from Low Cross to High Cross. That being the case, no one could stop the fair on the basis that an animal hadn't been there that particular year.
Earl Langdon is a former mayor of Appleby. Here in the town hall is a charter of King James II which grants the horse fair to Appleby. But some believe the charter does not exist, some say it does, but it has never been enacted. Either way, they can't really get rid of us. The fair is too big.
People would like to find out that there isn't such a thing as the charter, so that they could stop the travellers coming. That's the only way it can be stopped, if they can prove that that charter doesn't exist.
It's a very difficult thing to close a fair. It's a very difficult thing to ban something that isn't organised.
The council own the original fair hill and get money from the gypsy and traveller people who stop on there. However, because the fair is now so big, the farmers around the hill now hire out their land.
The town council, I believe, are the people who own the fair under the charter, and if they had a lot more money to spend, they could do a lot more. But as I say, the money is being drained off to surrounding farmers, because the town council could, if they wished, exercise more authority over the fair and have more money to spend to improve on it.
What other things do you think needs to be changed?
What I would like to change is the attitude of a lot of local people to what goes on here. It doesn't matter if you live in a house like I do, or in a trailer, it should not matter.
Do you like going to Appleby Horse Fair yourself or just to work?
I think it's a great week in the year for Appleby. I really, really do.
Okay, thank you for letting me interview you.
I've seen a lot of changes over the years. The one thing that has remained, I think, is there's still that fear, if you like, and prejudice towards Romany people. And I think that's mainly because they don't understand the culture.
Well, the tradition is really, really great. They still have the king of the gypsies, who the mayor of Appleby goes up and meets and sits in the caravan, and they have a great chat. When I had the mayoral chain on, I've been offered £50 for that chain. So no, they're really, really nice people. The true travellers are very nice people. I haven't met a terrible one yet.
Look at horses.
I mean, whether they think gypsies are nits or whether they think gypsies are dirty or whatever they think about gypsies, we are what we are. You know, and it's just nice just to keep your children confident enough to be able to say, well, I am a traveller. It's the only way we'll ever get anything moving amongst our travellers, for more travellers to stand up for their rights and to stand up and say, you know, when we're amongst gorger or settled people or whatever you want to call, to say, well, we are travellers.
I describe myself as a British gypsy.
Just a gypsy. I'm a gypsy. I'm an English gypsy, yeah. Yorkshire now.
I'll always be a traveller, and I'm not ashamed of what I am. I'm proud of what I am. I had a good, honest upbringing, so I have nothing to be ashamed of.
I've always been, a gypsy's never been weird to me. Like other people when I was at school, they'd always be like, oh, you're a gypsy, but like, I wouldn't know any different because I've always been a gypsy. So I wouldn't know another person's opinion of what you would think a gypsy was. Like some people think gypsies are just old-fashioned people with wagons and horses who travel around. Then some people have that opinion that we're very dirty people who are always travelling by the roads and all they go is to Appleby and stuff.
When did it start then? Yeah, come on.
The Appleby Fair?
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds and thousands.
So you don't know.
You're not here in the field. Mysterious ghost.
I'll do another one of them.